The last chocolate. The sky above was dark purple, filled with floating ash and heavy wind. The alien marketplace was silent now. Broken stalls, torn flags, and crushed crates lay scattered like memories of a better time. Jack, a lone human soldier, walked carefully through the ruins. His boots crunched over cracked stone and broken glass. His uniform was dirty. His face was tired. His stomach growled loudly, reminding him he hadn't eaten in 2 days. He reached into his bag. There was nothing left, except one small, silver-wrapped chocolate bar. His last food. A soft sigh escaped his lips. He looked around. No one was there. The planet had been evacuated months ago after the Empire attacked. He thought he was alone. But then, he heard it. A sound. Soft, weak, like a small breath or a whisper of pain. Jack stopped. He turned toward a collapsed fruit stand nearby. He pulled out his plasma knife and moved slowly, step by step, careful. He peeked behind the stand. There, lying in the dust, was a small alien girl. She looked about 14, maybe younger. Her body was thin, her arms wrapped around her stomach. Her skin was a soft silver blue, with dark lines like natural tattoos. Her big eyes, purple and glowing faintly, watched him with fear. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She looked like she hadn't eaten in days. Jack lowered his knife. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm not here to hurt you." The girl didn't answer. She just stared. Jack crouched down. He slowly took out his last chocolate bar, removed the wrapper halfway, and held it out. Her eyes widened. Her breathing got faster. "You hungry?" Jack asked. The alien girl didn't nod. She didn't speak, but her eyes said everything. Jack gently placed the chocolate in her hand and stepped back. She stared at the bar, then at him. Her hands were shaking. After a long moment, she took a bite. Her mouth froze. Her eyes widened. She had never tasted anything like it before. Sweet, warm, soft. Tears filled her glowing eyes. Jack smiled. "It's called chocolate. From Earth. Pretty good, huh?" She looked at him again, this time with something different in her gaze. Not fear, not hunger, but confusion. Like she was trying to understand why he helped her. Then suddenly, her left wrist blinked. Jack didn't notice, but the girl did. She gasped softly and quickly pulled her arm under her cloak. A golden symbol had flashed on her wrist. A mark of royalty. She looked back at Jack with a mix of panic and shock. He had no idea. You don't know who I am?" she whispered. Her voice was weak but soft, like a bell in the wind. Jack shook his head. "No? Should I?" The girl looked down. "No. Maybe it's better you don't." Just then, a sharp mechanical sound echoed across the market. Jack stood up fast. He looked toward the sky. A drone passed overhead. It moved slowly, scanning the area. Its red eye glowed. He grabbed the girl's hand. "We need to go now." The girl didn't argue. She stood up shakily and followed him. They ran between the ruined stalls, hiding under shadows, staying low. As they hid behind a broken wall, Jack looked at her again. "What's your name?" he asked. The girl looked at him for a long moment. "Laura," she whispered. Jack nodded. "I'm Jack. I'm human." She stared at him strangely. "I know." Another drone passed. Jack didn't see the fear in Laura's eyes as she looked at the sky. They weren't just scanning the planet. They were scanning for her. And now, the human who gave her food was part of it. The girl who looked poor, starving, weak, was something far more dangerous. She was not supposed to be alive. And now, because of one chocolate bar, everything would change. Hunted royalty. Hook. Jack had no idea what he had done. He thought he gave food to a poor girl. But somewhere, deep in the orbit above that dusty planet, red lights blinked. The royal tracker had activated, and now, A quiet voice echoed inside the control room of a distant warship. Target found. Princess Lura is alive. Jack and Lura moved through the ruined city, one step at a time. Lura walked close beside him, hugging her torn cloak. She didn't say much, but her eyes never stopped watching the sky. Jack was leading them into an old train station. The roof was broken. The walls were cracked, but it was better than staying in the open. Inside, Jack checked for threats. His scanner showed nothing. No life signs. No movement. "We can rest here," he said softly. "Just for a bit." Lura sat near a dusty wall. Her hands were shaking. Her mind was spinning. How could a human, a total stranger, be this kind? He gave his last food to her. He didn't ask who she was. He didn't want anything in return. No alien she ever met acted like that. No noble, no soldier, no one. She watched Jack pull out his med kit and sit across from her. He glanced at her with a calm smile. "You're lucky I still had that chocolate." She gave a small smile back, but it faded quickly. "Jack, you need to know something," she whispered. He looked at her. "What is it?" She pulled back her sleeve. The golden mark on her wrist was still glowing faintly. It looked like an ancient royal seal, etched with energy. Jack blinked. "What's that?" Lura hesitated, then said quietly, "I'm not just a girl. I'm the daughter of Emperor Velyun. I'm supposed to be dead." Jack stared at her. He thought she was joking, but the look in her eyes, it was real. "The Yadari princess?" Jack said slowly. She nodded. "Yes." Jack's heart dropped. He stood up quickly, his hands on his head. "Oh, great. Oh no, this is bad. This is so bad." Lura looked down. "I didn't mean to lie. I didn't want to die." Jack began pacing. "You're the missing princess. That means you're being hunted. And now I've helped you. I'm in this now." Lura stood too. "You saved me, Jack. I didn't ask for it, but you did, and now you're in danger because of me." Just then, a beep came from Jack's scanner. Warning. Imperial drone approaching. 500 meters. Jack's eyes widened. "We've got to move. Now!" They ran from the station. Jack led her through back alleys, keeping low, moving fast. Behind them, the drone passed overhead, its red light sweeping the area. Lura's royal signal had triggered more than just one drone. From orbit, several bounty hunter ships were now heading down to the planet. Each one had the same alert. Princess Lura is alive. Reward, 1 million credits. Bring her in, dead or alive. Back on the ground, Jack and Lura hid inside a broken warehouse. She sat on a crate, breathing hard. Jack peeked through a hole in the wall. "We won't last long like this," he muttered. "If they catch us, we're finished." Lura looked up. "Why did you help me, Jack?" He turned to her. "Because you looked hungry, that's all. I didn't care who you were." She looked away. "Then you're a fool." Jack smiled. "Yeah, maybe." Suddenly, a voice crackled over a loudspeaker from the sky. "Attention all citizens. Princess Lura has been found. She is a criminal of the state. The human with her is aiding her escape. Both are to be captured immediately." Lura's face turned pale. Jack clenched his jaw. "They're calling you a criminal?" he asked. Lura nodded. "My father was betrayed. I was marked for death by my uncle. He took the throne by force." Jack took a deep breath. "Then we're not running anymore. We're surviving." He checked his old blaster. "Let's find somewhere safe. Somewhere they can't scan us." Meanwhile, in the dark hall of a starship, a tall armored figure watched a screen. His name was Commander Voron, the ex-bodyguard of Princess Lura. He had once sworn to protect her. Now he hunted her. He stared at the screen where Jack was holding Lura's hand, leading her away. "A human?" he whispered with disgust. "She trusts a human now?" He slammed his fist on the console. "Prepare the dropships. I'll deal with this." Myself. Escape across the waste's hook. The sun on this alien planet didn't rise gently. It exploded into the sky like fire. Jack squinted as sharp orange light cut across the desert. He and Lura stood at the edge of the broken city, staring into miles of endless sand, jagged rocks, and cruel wind. Behind them, death was coming. Ahead of them, maybe worse. But Jack knew one thing. They couldn't stop. Not now. The ruined buildings behind them still echoed with the drone's last message. The HFY Empire was on their tail. Bounty hunters were closing in. And Lura, the girl he once thought was just poor and hungry, was being hunted like prey. Jack wrapped a scarf around his face and tightened the straps of his backpack. "We move fast and stay low," he said firmly. "We rest when we find shelter, not before." Lura nodded. Her eyes, still glowing faintly purple, were filled with fear, but also trust. She followed him into the dry wasteland. The desert was cruel. There was no path, no road, no cover, just heat, dust, silence. Their boots crunched over cracked ground, sharp stones cut through their soles. Jack's mouth was dry. Lura's feet were blistered, her legs were shaking, but she didn't complain. She just kept walking behind Jack. Every time she felt like collapsing, she remembered how he gave up his last chocolate bar without hesitation. He didn't ask questions. He didn't want anything in return. That memory kept her going. Hours passed. Their shadows stretched long behind them. A loud hum broke the silence. Jack looked up and saw it, an Empire scout drone flying low, scanning the desert with a red beam. "Down!" he hissed, grabbing Lura. They fell behind a jagged rock. The drone's red beam swept just inches above their heads. Jack covered Lura's body with his own, shielding her. His heart pounded. Lura looked up at him, eyes wide. Jack didn't say a word. He was ready to take the shot if it came to it. But the drone passed when and the hum faded. They stayed still for another minute. Only then did Jack speak. "We need to find a cave. Shelter. Anything," Lura whispered. "I know a place, but we must climb the rocks ahead." He looked at her, surprised. "You, sure?" She nodded. "I used to visit there before the war. The climb was brutal. Sharp black stones stabbed their hands and knees, but finally they reached a shallow cave tucked between two tall cliffs. Jack collapsed inside, gasping. Lura fell beside him, her face pale with exhaustion. Jack pulled a water canister from his pack. Only a few sips left. He handed it to her. She tried to give it back. "You need it too." Jack smiled weakly. "You first, princess." She took a small sip, then gave it back. "We share." As the sun lowered, Jack lit a small survival light. Lura looked at him, confused. "Why are you helping me so much?" Jack leaned back against the wall. "Because you remind me of someone." She tilted her head. "Who?" He looked at the sky through the cave's mouth. "My sister. She died when our city was bombed. She was about your age." Lura went silent. "I couldn't save her," Jack said softly. "But maybe I can save you." Lura blinked fast. She didn't want to cry. Not now. She reached into her cloak and pulled something from a hidden pocket, a small metal pendant. It had the royal symbol on it. "I want you to have this," she said. Jack frowned. "I can't take that." "You saved me," she said. "That makes you more royal than anyone I've ever known." Before Jack could reply, his wrist scanner beeped. His eyes widened. "Trouble?" Lura asked. He stood and grabbed his blaster. "They're coming." Multiple signals, armed. She jumped to her feet. "How many?" Jack looked grim. "Too many." Outside, a group of bounty hunters moved fast through the desert, following Lura's signal. Their leader, a reptilian alien with metal eyes, licked his lips. "She's close. The princess is ours." But none of them knew. The human she was with wasn't going to give her up. Protector's firehook. The night had no mercy. Cold winds howled through the cave like ghosts. The stars above were sharp and cruel, but even the stars seemed to flinch when the first gunshot echoed. Jack was already on his feet, blaster in hand. Lura stood frozen, her pendant clutched tightly. The enemy had found them, and they were not here to take prisoners. Laser fire burst through the air. The cave wall behind them exploded in sparks. Rocks fell. Dust choked the air. "Stay low," Jack shouted, pulling Lura behind a stone pillar. He leaned out and fired back. Quick, clean shots. One bounty hunter dropped, but more were coming. 5, maybe 6. All heavily armed. Jack's heart raced. His side still ached from earlier wounds, but he didn't care. All he could think about was keeping Lura alive. "Why are they doing this?" she whispered, scared. Jack ducked another blast. "Because you're worth more than gold to them." She looked down at the pendant still glowing, in her hand. "I never wanted the throne," she said. "I just wanted to live." Jack gave a weak grin. "Then let's make sure you do." He stood and fired again, but a red bolt sliced across his shoulder. He dropped back, teeth clenched, blood dripping. "Jack," Lura cried out, crawling to him. "I'm fine," he groaned, gripping his arm. "No, you're not." Her eyes glowed, brighter, like something deep inside her had been shaken loose. She touched his wound with her hand. A soft golden light began to spread from her fingers. Jack froze. The pain started to fade. What are you doing?" he whispered. "I don't know," Lura said, voice trembling. "But I can feel it. I can heal." Suddenly her whole body glowed, soft, warm light pouring from her chest, eyes, and palms. The cave filled with golden energy. Even the bounty hunters stopped and stared in shock. This isn't possible," one muttered. Another shouted, "She's activating a soul surge. Back away." But it was too late. Lura stood tall, her cloak flowing like fire, her eyes blazing with light. She raised one hand, and the air itself rippled. A wave of pure force blasted outward, knocking down enemies like dry leaves in a storm. Jack shielded his eyes. When the light faded, all the attackers were gone, either unconscious or running for their lives. Silence returned to the cave. Lura fell to her knees, breathing hard. Jack rushed to her side. "Are you okay?" She nodded slowly. "I didn't know I could do that," he stared at her. "That was incredible." "No," she whispered. "That was dangerous. They'll sense that power. More will come." Far above the planet, on a warship cloaked in shadow, a red alert flashed on the screen. An old alien general stood slowly from his command chair. "She's awakened," he muttered. The officer beside him asked, "Do we send a fleet?" The general shook his head. "No, send Voron. Only he knows how to end this." Back in the cave, Jack tightened his pack. "We have to move again," he said. Lura looked at him, unsure. "Why do you keep helping me? You could have run away. Left me." Jack paused. Then he sat beside her and spoke softly. "Because you didn't ask me to save you, but I did. That makes it my choice." She stared at him. "And I don't regret it," Jack added. Lura's voice cracked. "Even if it kills you?" He smiled. "Especially if it keeps you alive." Outside, the wind had changed. But something bigger was coming. Lura could feel it in her bones. They would not let her live in peace. But now, she wasn't alone. She had someone who stood in front of her even while bleeding. Someone who called her Lura, not princess or target. And something inside her heart, something ancient, was waking up. The battle for one human hook. The cave walls trembled. The ground cracked. But it wasn't an earthquake. It was him. Voron had arrived. He didn't come with drones. He didn't come with an army. He came alone. Because he was enough. Jack stood at the cave entrance holding his blaster. Tight. He saw the shape in the dust. Tall, armored, slow, but certain. One step at a time. Metal boots, black cloak, a long weapon glowing with energy. Jack felt something deep in his gut. This wasn't a normal bounty hunter. This was someone who didn't miss. Someone who had trained to kill royalty. Inside the cave, Laura gasped as she sensed the presence. No. Jack turned to her. Who is he? She clenched her fists. That's Commander Voron. He used to be my guardian. He taught me how to survive, how to fight. Then why's he here to kill you? Because I remind him of what he lost, she whispered. Honor. Loyalty. His soul. Voron stopped just outside the cave. He called out, his voice deep, cold. Laura, you are not meant to live. You are not meant to rise. And that human beside you, he will fall before you do. Jack stepped forward, not moving from the entrance. You'll have to get through me first. Voron's helmet tilted. Human courage. Charming. Pointless but charming. Without warning, he charged. The cave exploded in violence. Jack rolled left, firing blast after blast. Voron blocked each shot with his energy shield, marching forward. Like a beast, Jack ducked, fired again, this time hitting the side of Voron's armor. Sparks flew, but Voron didn't stop. He swung his plasma blade. Jack barely dodged. It burned the rocks behind him like butter. Jack gritted his teeth. This wasn't a fight he could win, but he would still give it everything. Laura stood in the shadows, heart racing. She could feel the bond between her and Jack. It pulsed like fire in her chest. He was bleeding again. He was hurting again. For her. And something inside her snapped. She stepped forward. Her eyes glowed gold. Her voice echoed with, "Power! Stop!" Voron paused. He turned, surprised. "You dare command me?" Laura lifted her hands. The air shimmered around her. Her body glowed with the same golden light from before, but now, stronger. "I do not command you as a princess," she said. She walked closer. "I command you as the true heir." Her feet lifted off the ground. The pendant on her neck blazed like a sun. Voron froze. For a moment the killer hesitated. He remembered holding her when she was just a child. He remembered protecting her when her father fell. But that was a long time ago. His heart had turned to metal. He charged again, roaring. But this time, he didn't reach her. Laura's energy hit him like a wall. He flew backward, armor cracking, weapon spinning out of his hand. Jack stood, breathing hard, watching in awe. Laura landed beside him. Her glowing hand touched his chest. His pain eased again. "You're full of surprises," Jack whispered. She smiled weakly. "Only when you're hurt." Voron groaned on the floor, armor sparking. He looked up at her with disbelief. "You've awakened the ancient bond." Laura nodded. "I didn't want it," she said softly. "But this human, he chose me. He protected me, and now I choose him." Far above, in orbit, multiple warships picked up the signal. The royal soul bond had been completed. Alarms sounded. Leaders panicked. The galaxy was changing, all because one human shared his last chocolate. Bar. The awakening bond hook. In a silent corner of space. Stars flickered. Across warships, royal palaces, rebel hideouts, one message echoed at once. The bond has awakened. Princes dropped their glasses. Generals froze in command halls. Queens leaned forward on their thrones. A human had soul bonded with alien royalty. Impossible. Unheard of. Unforgivable. But deep below, far from the eyes of kings and killers, Jack opened his eyes slowly. He was still alive. The wounds were closed. The pain was gone. His chest felt warm, like sunlight lived inside it. He looked up and saw Laura sitting beside him, her hand still glowing. "You brought me back again," he whispered. Laura nodded softly. The bond responded. "Because you're mine now." Jack blinked. "What?" She looked nervous, almost shy. Not in a bad way. It's ancient, sacred. My people call it the fire thread. When a royal gives their heart to someone fully, and that someone gives it back, the bond awakens. Jack sat up slowly. So, I'm bonded to you now? She nodded. In body, spirit, and soul. Jack didn't know what to say. He had only wanted to help a girl with sad eyes and no food. Now he was tied to a princess, forever. You okay with that? Lura asked quietly. He looked into her glowing eyes, then smiled. Yeah, I am. But far away. Not everyone was smiling. On the shadow world of Xerox Prime, a council of alien warlords gathered. Their leader slammed a clawed hand on the table. A human bonded with the air? This breaks ancient law. Another hissed. The last time a soul bond happened, an empire fell. A third whispered, then this human must die, and she must be reclaimed. A dark vote was cast. Every bounty, every assassin, every outlaw in the quadrant was activated. One target. Kill the human. Capture the princess. Back on the surface, Jack and Lura sat under the desert stars. The cave was quiet now. Voron was gone, vanished. Before they woke, Lura was watching the sky. Her eyes were full of thoughts. Jack broke the silence. Do you regret it? She looked at him. Bonding? He nodded. She shook her head. I only regret that now. You're in danger because of me, Jack smiled. We're in danger, together. Suddenly his wrist scanner blinked red. Multiple life forms. Fast. Coming from the west. Jack stood. They've found us again. Lura's face grew serious. We need to run. No, Jack said. No more running. She looked at him. He gripped his blaster and nodded. We fight. Lura stood beside him. Her hands glowed, her voice calm. No. We rise. As the hunters drew near, Lura's power pulsed again, but stronger. Jack felt it too. His body responded. Faster reflexes, sharper senses. The bond was changing him. He wasn't just human anymore. He was something more. The enemies surrounded the cave, shouting threats. Jack stepped out first, aiming his blaster. Lura followed, her hands glowing like suns. You want a prize? Jack shouted. Come take it. The battle began, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy saw something new. A bonded pair, human and alien, fighting together and winning. The girl he fed is now a queen hook. The last time Jack saw her, she was shaking, cold and starving, sitting in dirt, holding a half-eaten chocolate bar. Now, she stood on a golden balcony, dressed in flame-colored armor, a crown of light on her head, and thousands of alien warriors were kneeling before her. Lura, the poor girl he fed, was now the queen of fire and stars. 3 weeks had passed since the battle in the desert. Jack and Lura had survived the attacks, escaped the bounty hunters, and sent a message across the stars. The bond was real, and they were not afraid. That message changed everything. Rebel forces who were hiding came out of the shadows. Old loyalists who once served her father began to rise again, and one by one. The galaxy remembered her name. Inside the royal ship's main hall, Jack stood awkwardly among royal advisors, alien generals, and noble bloodlines. Everyone stared at him. Whispers filled the air. He's the human. He shared his last food with her. She bonded with a creature from Earth, and now she wears his pendant beneath her armor. Jack scratched his head. He didn't belong here. He was just a guy with an old backpack and an empty chocolate wrapper in his pocket. Then the door opened, and everything went silent. Lura walked in, glowing like a star. Her royal robe trailed behind her. Her golden eyes locked on him. She walked past soldiers, past guards, past noble mice, and stopped right in front of Jack. You didn't kneel, she said with a small smile. Jack shrugged. You already know I'm not good at rules. The whole room gasped. Laura laughed softly. Good. I don't want you to kneel. I want you to stand beside me. She turned to the crowd. This human gave me something none of you did. Kindness. Without knowing who I was, without asking for anything, and because of him I stand here today. Jack looked down, a bit embarrassed. Laura reached out and took his hand. A golden spark ran through the air between them. The bond, living, glowing, strong. Later, on the top deck of her star cruiser, they stood alone under the stars. Laura looked out into the galaxy. So many planets need help, so many people suffering. The war destroyed more than just cities. Jack nodded. Then we start building again. She turned to him. With me? He smiled. Always. She pulled something from her royal belt. A chocolate bar. Golden wrapper. Earth-made. Jack raised an eyebrow. Where'd you get that? She grinned. I had it delivered. Took half a fleet to find one. She unwrapped it and broke it in two. For you, she said. The first human ever bonded to royalty. They each took a bite. Sweet. Rich. Warm. Just like that first moment. But deep in the shadows of space, not everyone celebrated. An ancient council watched from afar. They changed the law of blood. One hissed, they will unite humans and aliens under one crown. Another warned. A third voice whispered coldly, then we must break the bond, or break the galaxy. Back on the cruiser, Laura leaned her head on Jack's shoulder. You didn't just save me, she whispered. You reminded me what I was worth. Jack held her hand tight. You're not a weapon, Laura. You're not just royalty. He smiled. You're the girl I shared my last chocolate with.